Well, hello everyone, welcome to my review of Star Wars Imperial Assault, which, well, I actually did get this just last year, at the beginning of last year, but I wanted to make sure I knew everything about this game and play it, of course, quite in depth. And I can tell you, well, I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to tell you at the very end of the video. So, let's get on with the review, shall we? Okay, so we have 4 books. This is obviously the campaign guide, which gives you the campaign details. In between 2 to 5 players. It's pretty good. I'll get into that later. Got Skirmish guide, tells you all about Skirmish. I'll get into that later. But these 2 are the books that are mainly the ones that you actually want to have like right open. This one first, then some bits in these. I'll get back to that one soon. But just tell you about this one, which is literally the learn to play, and it does say read this first, but it's more like the rule book itself. So we have the contents. We have tutorial. The tutorial beginner's game, as it were, is like, yeah, okay, that's quite fun. It's quite easy and simple as well. It tells you all about interacting with doors and the crates. Tells you about the deployment groups as well. I'll get into that soon. Activations and exhaustion. And they have the more additional core rules, which of course you'd want to read all of it. I mean, why would you not? Suffering and recovering with damage and health. Movement, very important, I can tell you that much. Then it comes into advanced rules. Really, it's all the basics really of everything you just really want to know on how to play the game. This book just really kind of just tells you everything. Conditions as well. It talks about playing the campaign, all of it. Seriously, this is just the one book that you want. It's like this book and this book is the ones that you want. The others are which game you want to play, campaign or skirmish. This book goes into more in depth with some of the rules itself, and then there's actually some rules that are actually in this book and not in this one. So it is a good thing to actually read some of these. It's just not just the actions and some of the abilities. I mean, it tells you a bit more in depth on about allies and villains, which you get in the campaign guide. And there's also other bits and pieces. It tells you a bit more in depth about some of the special rules in there, like massive, or how cleave works. Well, actually it's quite easy in how cleave works, but it's like some bits you can actually skip because they're very easy, or if you've never played any of these kind of games before, then you probably might want to read an in-depth of this. One thing I can say which is really handy is some of the appendix of line of sight and movement. That's really more in-depth. So when you actually start reading this, when it goes into line of sight, you might want to just go into this book and open the line of sight, and when it comes down to the movement, you want to go into that page just to give you a far more better idea. And when you're completely stuck, oh, there it is, the index. Yep. This book also says you also get 50 credits when you sell your starting equipment. This book doesn't. That took me quite some time on finding out where that is. So yeah, these 2 books tells you how to play the game. The other 2, which is, I'll just grab these. Sorry, I don't know why I threw them all the way over there. Your campaign guide. Nice little introduction right there. Yeah, and my book's already falling apart already. Yeah, I should really try and keep my books in better condition. But hey ho, I've got to keep turning pages and all that stuff. It tells you on how to, well, just play the campaign really. That's it. Just that page. That's it. The rest of it are your missions. Literally, all of this, your missions, and you won't be playing them all. And that's the campaign log. That's great. Seriously, you only play that many. Now, for those people that actually played Descent 2nd Edition, practically already knows how to play this. The thing about this is that these missions aren't really in Encounter 1, Encounter 2. They're just play this and that's it. So it's not this side and this side. It's literally just that. That's all you have for one mission. And that is, yet again, another mission. And this is all in campaign mode. So the missions actually can go quite more quicker than Descent 2nd Edition if you actually played that game. But it's quite fun. Next one is the skirmish guide. It's very, very thin. It just really is very thin. Tells you what you need to do. You have so many points. Then you start buying. So you pick one of the 3 sides, whether it's the Rebel or the Imperial or even the Mercenaries. Yeah, and that's it. That's the skirmish map. You only get one of, which is a shame because I was hoping for a few more skirmish maps. However, there are more skirmish maps, but I'll get into that later. There are 6 heroes to pick. Well, when I say heroes, they're rebel heroes, but still, I'm just going to show you 2. We have, let's just go with this one first. So all of these, well, got the picture, name, and then you have, let's just go along with these. So you have 12 health, which is of course how much damage you take until it reaches 0. When it reaches 0, you get defeated, and it then turns onto this side. I'll get into that a little bit later. So you have 4 endurance. Endurance is how much strain that you can do. This means extra movement points or activating special skills and abilities, even the ones that's in your own class as well. Let's see, speed of 4, which is how many movement points you'd get. So as an action, you have 2 actions in this game. One of them can be move, and you can move up to 4 spaces. Or up to 8 if you do double move actions. Anyway, there's 2 defense dices. There's a black one and a grey one. Black means heavy, white means light. Black one has more defense, the white one doesn't. However, it actually has evade and dodge. So they're the ones that's like they ignore any surges on any dice result. I'll show you the dice in a later time. And then you have one that's ignore all damage, which can be quite fun. Right, then you have attribute tests. To successfully do one of these, you pick the dice that's required in the test. Normally it's all in the campaign guide, and all you need to do is roll a surge, which is a lightning symbol. So yeah, so as you see, he's got a movement of 4 and endurance of 4. However, when he gets wounded, he has endurance of 3 and speed 3. When he gets wounded again, they're out of that mission at the moment, where they just retreat and they're gone. But not permanently, of course, because the campaign needs to carry on until it stops. So yeah, again, using the strain there, endurance of 5, so I could do it up to 5 times, or an extra movement points, or that. Different dice right there. Yeah. And on the other side, it gets weaker. When they get wounded, their other ability is gone. Now, when it comes down to the class cards, it's really more like their own class cards, so you can't swap around. You can't do that. Not even starting equipment, which, of course, Mac here has this long blaster. He cannot give it to Fan. They have their own classes, which cost experience to purchase these class cards, and this gives you additional abilities and skills that need to be used. Which, okay, that's fine. That's fine. In Descent Second Edition, you normally just pick your hero and then you pick your class. However, in this game, when you pick your hero, well, that hero, rebel hero that is, has to have their own class, and that's it. So it always makes it simpler, but there's less customization with everything else. So while that's a downside, it can also be an upside, as well, playing the character, you already know what you're picking. So yeah, and most of these actually goes with their own abilities anyway. The Imperial player also gets their own class deck. I'm just going to show you 2 here. It comes with 3 in the starting box anyway. Just like I said, I just want to show you 2. And literally right at the very start of the campaign, the Imperial player gets to pick one of their classes. And there's like a whole bunch of them already. Start out with 1. Then you spend your XP to get better class cards, which some of them are, well, attached to one of your deployment cards. I'll show you that in a minute. The others are, well, they're just like use this and then someone gets this, or do that and a rebel player needs to test this, etc, etc. It's just some things that are quite fun, as it were, for the Imperial player, of course. For the rebels, no, it's not. So yes, there's 3 classes for the Imperial player to pick for the campaign mode, and they are quite interesting. Okay, so these are the, well, you could say the monster cards. Well, actually, these are called deployment cards. And how to use them? Well, you spend so much in order to actually get them, unless they actually start from the campaign map itself. And these bars right here is how many you get in a deployment. So you use that and you get to put 2 on the map. It tells you actually where to place them in the campaign guide and skirmish mode. These are normally, when it comes down to these, picking them in campaign mode, well, it says like how many that's already on the field, and how many you are allowed to pick, which is like open groups. So you get to have some open deployment cards. So you get to pick whichever ones that you're allowed to pick, which is practically all of them, apart from specials. I'll get into that very soon. And yeah, literally you pay to actually put them on. I'll tell you exactly how to do that, but I just want to go through a few things. There you go. The probe droid costs 3 to get, and you only get one of them. Your stormtroopers, you get 3 in that group, and you have elite stormtroopers. Well, you have like focus a bit. Thank you. Jeez, this is supposed to be a better camcorder. So you have basics, and you have elites of these versions. Well, the elites tend to be a little bit more better by having a bit more abilities. So your basic ones only have an extra 1 damage when you spend a surge. The elite has 2 extra damage when you spend a surge. Of course, they are a little bit more costly to bring out. On the side ones, it's to reinforce. So if one of these died, that means you'll only have 2 on the board. You can actually put that one back on, but it costs you how much it is. And the elites sometimes get a better or additional abilities down here, along with different health and sometimes damage too. It can even have the ATST in it, which is quite expensive, but is absolutely a blast with quite a bit of damage there. High health, good defense. Although don't be expecting this to get this out unless you're actually starting it on like turn 1, as in the campaign map says, right, you get an ATSC, just like that. Yeah, these will probably appear a little bit more later during the game. However, there are such a thing as special type characters, like Darth Vader here. Yeah, he costs 18 to get out, but he's absolutely a beast. Well, of course he is, with all of this stats right here. This is quite nice. However, in order to get him, you require a special card, and I'll get into that very soon. I also want to point out that even the rebels can actually get special characters as well. It all depends if they actually get to pick the mission. Well, they get to pick the mission, it's just if they actually come on to the mission. So yeah, that's quite nice. You always get the choices. So we come back to the campaign book itself, and it tells you of the threat levels it is. Now then, this is the dials. So you have your turn dial right here. That's turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, and on the other side is the Imperial's threat, and that increases every turn depending on how much threat you'd get. So if you're on this mission right here, you get 4 threat a turn, which of course in 2 turns that bumps up straight to 8. Well, that means the more lower down you get, the higher this will be, and the Imperial player can spend all that threat in getting more or less the elites versions of the groups. So yeah, the heroes are going to be a little bit how to say, actually there's so many words you could describe the heroes when it comes down to these, or the big giant threat. But the heroes can always prepare themselves. These is called the shop, as it were. Number 1, it's where, well, it's the basics really. So you get some basic equipment here and there. That's to overcome the more harder missions when it comes down to it. 2, which is in between, and the third one, which tends to be the more powerful weapons, armor, and equipment. I'm not going to show you these because, well, there is actually a reason, but I don't want to say at this moment in time. However, some of the missions, if the rebels complete it, will give you a special equipment or skill. Yeah, like brand new armor, just for whoever that's supposed to be. I'm not going to say who. Or, well, one of these, which is like when you deploy an ally, you can reduce its deployment cost by 2. Yeah, that's great, because sometimes when you want to bring out Luke Skywalker, he might be a bit too, I don't know, higher up. Yeah, when the heroes deploy one of their own allies, the Imperial player gets that amount of threats on how much it will cost. So when deploying them, reducing by 2, then of course the Imperial player won't get as much. But yeah, these ones are a little bit more of a bonus. Good bonuses, actually. Actually, some of them are a lot more better than some of the shop ones, I can tell you that much. The Imperial player also gets what's known as influence points. And what happens is that at the start of the campaign, the Imperial player picks 6 of the decks from the influence pile, that is. Each one has about, like, I think it's like 4 each. And then you just shuffle them all in, and you just draw as many as it says. I can't remember actually. I think that's 4. No, it's 3. You draw 3 cards, and you can spend your influence in buying those cards if you wish to. So some of them could actually be adding a new side mission, and well, if the heroes don't resolve this side mission, you automatically win your reward card, which is something I just already shown you, because the Imperial player can also get rewards. Or they could just well, you could actually add something for your stormtroopers with this card, and that means they could shoot twice if they want to. Or where you get some of the special packs, you have a side mission where you could actually get Darth Vader. Yeah, as in, like, the Imperial player can try and get Darth Vader. So yeah, okay, so the Imperial player has the influence points, so you can get some of your influence cards. You have your normal experience, which you use for your class cards, and of course during the missions you have your threat to bring out more deployments. Yeah, so it's all quite busy in the Imperial side. So here are the dice. You have the defense dice right here, heavy, which gives you more shield results, and the light, which doesn't, but gives you evades and dodge, which is ignore all damage. Then you have the normal damage dice. Red gives you the most damage. Blue gives you a high range for shooting. A few damage here and there, and a few surges. That's the surge, what it looks like. Yellow is in between with a small amount of range, good amount of damage, good amount of surges. It's an in-between dice. And the green one, short range, has quite an amount of well, surges and damage here and there. So yeah, that's the dice. So that's actually really Star Wars Imperial Assault all in total. I kind of covered Skirmish, which is literally points. Look at the cards, they have the amount of numbers they have on there. There's also some command cards in there, which I haven't shown, but it's all kind of pretty basic. It's almost like just the class cards for the Imperial side and Rebel sides. I've talked about the campaign mode, which is the main mode on playing this game. One thing to note is that in this box also contains the ally and villain packs, Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. I would recommend using them straight away, just because in the box itself comes with 6 decks of influence cards, and in the main game itself you have to pick 6 influence decks. With the Darth Vader villain pack, you get an influence deck in there, so that brings it down up to 7. So therefore the Imperial player can actually pick all but 1. So I'd recommend adding them together anyway. And of course with the Luke Skywalker comes with a extra side mission, which the Rebels might be able to play, as with it comes down to mission cards, which I haven't shown. You practically let's say you pick let's say when it comes down to allies, you get 4 ally cards, missions, and it's up to the Rebels to pick which ones they pick into it. However, there's only 4 allied cards in this main box. Anyway, then they pick the Rebel Hero mission cards, and that goes into that deck. So the Rebel Hero missions and the Ally mission cards go together, and then there's up to 4 random normal side mission cards, and then that creates a deck. You shuffle them all in, and that's your side mission, where it tells you to go on to a side mission or a story mission. This game is a lot more better than Descent 2nd edition. It's a little bit more easier to understand as well. The only thing is, it's hasn't got as much as in Descent. Like, this has got a lot less models in it. It has a lot less tiles in it, and a lot less customization, because when it comes down to heroes and classes in Descent 2nd edition, you can mix and match. With this one you cannot. But yet again, it is a very good game. I actually think it's even better than Descent 2nd edition, and since it's been out for what, about a year now, maybe just coming up to a year, it's going to be a little bit more cheaper to buy, which I would certainly recommend. Really, most people probably get this game just because of Star Wars. Well, yeah, you get to shoot around. Swing a lightsaber, not so much. But it is set in the Star Wars universe, and it does actually feel quite Star Warsy anyway. So about 50% of people would actually buy this because of the Star Wars game. The other 50% would get it just because of the AT-ST. Let's get a good zoom in of that pretty fish. Look at that fish. You wouldn't say no to not getting this game. No, seriously, this is one excellent big giant model, and it's one of the main reasons why you'd want to get Star Wars Imperial Assault. So, oh, zoomed in. Come on, zoom out a bit more. That's it. Get my camera sorted. So, what kind of rating would I give this? Oh, it's so good. I want to give it an 11 out of 10, but that's too generous. However, I would like to give it a 10 out of 10 as well, but as I said, the downside is that it was quite expensive just because of the Star Wars name, and you have a lot less than in Descent 2nd Edition, and it's practically the same kind of game anyway. So I'm going to have to give this as a 9.5 out of 10. I want to give it a 10, but just because it's a little lackluster. I know the expansions can actually add more to it. It's just there's not a lot of choices, but that's mainly it. I really want to go higher, but like I said. So yeah, that's Star Wars Imperial Assault. Until next time, thank you, bye.